Okay, everyone, these are the last two questions on that study guide, and I'm going to make this bigger if I can. All right, well, I'll just do it the old school way. There, touch my screen. All right, so question number 3 is from chapter 5, and this question, in this question, I ask you to explain how George Ritzer's concept of McDonaldization and I say that's a typo. Discuss George Ritzer's concept of McDonaldization and discuss whether you agree with him. Why or why not? So, in the text, there's a discussion about George Ritzer's idea that much of society today has become McDonaldized. And he uses the term McDonaldization of society. And if you recall from the text reading, what he's simply saying is that so much of our daily activities are run like McDonald's, where we expect things to be quick, we expect them to be streamlined, we expect things to be very standardized, and we often become upset if they are not. Here's the idea. Think about McDonald's. Why do people go there? They go there because, not because it's the best tasting burger ever, they go there because it's quick, relatively affordable, and it's standardized. They know that when they go there, that burger's going to taste the same whether they get it in West Covina, downtown LA, Orange County, San Diego, across the country. That hamburger is going to taste exactly the same. It's standardized. They know exactly what to expect. And a lot of people like that. They don't want to go into a burger place that they've never been to before because they think, well, I might not like the burger and then I paid for something I don't like. So I'm going to go with the sure thing. It's quick, it is standardized, and it's relatively affordable. So think about how much of our daily activities have become that way too. We go drive up to Starbucks windows or to an ATM or to a pharmacy. We go to a bank ATM. Let's see, lots of fast food places we go to. We go there because they're standardized, because they're relatively affordable, and because they're quick. So think about how impersonal a lot of those interactions are. In essence, what Ritzer's arguing is that not only is a lot of our interaction very much modeled after the McDonald's experience, but also it tends to be quite impersonal. In fact, some of us maybe even seek out instances where we don't have to interact with somebody. So if we go to the grocery store, we might purposely seek out the self-checkout so we don't have to talk to a cashier. We might purposely not go into a bank because we don't want to have to talk to a teller. We want to just fiddle with a machine and get money out. We possibly even don't go to a restaurant. We just order on an app, DoorDash, Grubhub, Uber Eats, etc. All of this means that we don't necessarily have to have any interaction. And so that's what Ritzer's arguing about how our society has become. So I'm asking you to explain his idea and then to tell whether or not you agree with him. And if you agree with him, why? Give an example or two. If you don't agree with him, why? Give an example or two. Remember, it's always good to support your statements with at least one example. The next question I ask you to make sure, to discuss one primary group and one secondary group in your life. Okay, so this is your life, not your mom's, not your brother's, but your life. A primary group in your life and a secondary group. And recall from the reading the difference. Explain several positive things you get from that primary group and at least one potentially negative thing you get from that primary group. Same with secondary group. Who are they? What's at least one positive thing you get from that secondary group, and what's at least one negative thing, or more. If you want to give me more negative things, you can. Typically, we get more negative things from a secondary group and very few positive things. But with the primary group, we typically see far more positive things and very few negative things, which is why they're a primary group. They're why they're the ones closest to us. I then ask you How has each group influenced or shaped who you are today? So the primary group, how has it shaped you? How has it influenced you to be the person you are today? How has that secondary group influenced you? And you may think to yourself, well, it's my secondary group, it's my workplace. Maybe that's your secondary group, or it's school. You may not think there's a lot of influence there, but there is some. So just think about it. Be analytical there. That's question number 3 from chapter 5. The last one, explain socialization and discuss the agents of socialization. So socialization, the process by which society transmits values, norms, so that we can contribute to society, we can function in society. And those agents, and you only have to talk about the 4 that are discussed in the text: family, peers, media, and schools. But remember, it's not enough just to list them. You should tell me, at least briefly, how does the family influence people? How do peers influence people? How do schools influence? And also, how does the media influence? Okay, so make sure you're giving at least 1 or 2 examples about how each of those things influence people. Then I ask you to explain in detail Cooley's looking glass self-theory and Mead's theory. And there are videos about Cooley and Mead's theories, so make sure that you review those and also review the text reading about those. And then finally, do you believe that, well, not finally, but do you believe these theories help explain the development of your own self-identity? Now, maybe you say yes, maybe you say no, but don't just say yes or no. Say yes, and here's why I'm saying that, or no, and here's why I'm saying that. Remember, always supporting your statements, explaining to your reader how you reach your conclusion. Finally, which of the agents of socialization, as you discussed in the above part of the essay, currently have the most influence on you? And is that different from when you were in elementary school? Why do you think that today's influence is or is not different from when you were younger? Okay, so think about those agents, those 4. Which one currently has most influence on you? Why? Explain. And then, is that different from when you were younger? So here's an example. If I'm answering this question, when I was younger, of course, my family had a lot of influence on me because I was young. I didn't have a lot of friends initially, and then I started going to school. So now family's still important, but over time, as I've become an adult and went away to college, family became less of an influence for me. And schools and peers became more important. And today it's peers that are more important. So why do I think that's different? Well, my ideas, my values, my opinions became very different from that of my family. And so I gravitated more toward people who shared those ideas, who were my peers. So that's question 4 from chapter 4. So that's it for the overview of the midterm questions.